Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Stevanson, and welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. So let's get into today's topic here. So as you guys know, about 48 hours ago, the biggest story in the NBA broke, and that had to do with Kawhi Leonard. And some reporting that Pablo Torres put out there. As you guys know, this thing really kicked off after some of the investigative journalism that Pablo Torres finds out did when they said that there may have been a secret deal to circumvent the salary cap through the company aspiration. So at that point, we were kind of waiting for the NBA to make a decision. I mean, you guys pretty much know the story. And then we heard that they were going to make a decision before All-Star break, because All-Star break was going to be played in the Intuit Dome Arena. And people are like, that's interesting. And then, of course, the offseason came about. We didn't really hear much. And then we heard that Kawhi Leonard was being traded to the Toronto Raptors. But then they were talking about, they could, if the news comes down, then, it could potentially hurt whatever team he's on. And then the Raptors refused to kind of take responsibility for whatever. So that's where we were. Then this new one came out where the scoreboard maker was essentially also funneling money to Kawhi Leonard under the table. And it became this bombshell story, right? Even yesterday, Stephen A. Smith went on ESPN, said that, if it's true, they should throw the book at Kawhi Leonard and these guys, maybe suspend him for the season, void his contract, maybe cancel the trade. You've had that as well. Even former NBA player Joe Johnson said the NBA is going to come down with the heavy hand, blah, 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 blah. But people like myself and others like Rob Parker and others have been a bit skeptical about this punishment that's meant to come towards Kawhi Leonard, because you're dealing with a person in Steve Ballmer, who's one of the 10 richest people in the world and the richest owner of the richest sports owner in the world. So guys like that, they play by a different set of rules, and you just don't treat them the way you would treat any other owner. I'm sorry, but that's the reality of life. Then I started to come across pieces of information this morning that really has me thinking that nothing could happen at all. There could be no suspension and nothing could happen to Kawhi Leonard. And I'm like, wow, this really changes things. But before we even get into that, today's video is brought to you by our sponsor, Kachava. Now, before we continue, let me tell you something. This year, I got serious about taking care of my body, my training, my nutrition, all of it. Nothing extreme. I just wanted to take better care of myself. But my days get busy between work, moving around, taking care of my daughter, trying to go to the gym, buying groceries. Life fills up fast. And when it does, nutrition is the first thing to fall apart. I would skip meals, grab whatever was easy, and feel it by the afternoon. Then I started using Kachava's new travel pack. Just one packet gives you complete nutrition ready for life to go on. Plant-based protein, fiber, greens, vitamins, probiotics, omegas, electrolytes, and more. No artificial flavors, no sweeteners, no soy, no gluten, no preservatives, and no animal products. All the nutrition my body craves in one delicious shake, packed to go. It keeps my energy steady all day, and more importantly, it actually tastes amazing. If you have been meaning to take better care of yourself, this is the easiest place to start. Take your daily ritual with you. Go to Kachava.com and use code DREAMERS for 15% off your first order. That's Kachava, Kachava.com, code DREAMERS. All right, perfect. So let's start with this article here. This is, actually, you know what? Let's start with, we have a plethora of posts up here. So let's put the ones that we have. We have one from Full Court Pass that says this: the most likely outcome for the NBA's investigation of Kawhi Leonard and aspiration per Michael Grange. A negotiated settlement where the NBA gets to enforce some version of its rule. Steve Ballmer can save face. Kawhi Leonard can play for the Toronto Raptors. That's one post that came out. Then we have another one from Instagram. It says, Kawhi Leonard will not face suspension as a result of the investigation per Michael Grange. And it says that. And then we have an article here from Fadeaway World that goes a little bit deeper. It says potential outcome revealed in aspiration case. Good news for Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers. It says, as more details unravel about the potential secret endorsement deals, the Los Angeles Clippers look increasingly guilty of circumventing the salary cap. Since the very start of the cap circumvention accusations, the Clippers have maintained their innocence, but many fans are demanding a harsh punishment in the light of the recent discoveries. While a steep penalty is certainly not off the table, the latest intel from NBA insider Michael Grange suggests that both the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard will get off relatively easy. He reports that the investigation has already moved beyond the fact-finding stage, with the only consideration at this point being how to please all sides with the ruling. Per league sources, there's a belief that the investigation has already moved beyond its fact-finding stage, and parties involved, specifically the Clippers and the NBPA, which is monitoring the situation to see what, if any, consequences befall Leonard, are working quietly to get the entire issue resolved, something Silver hinted at back in July 14th when he was asked publicly on the issue, reported by Sportsnet. This is the most likely outcome, a negotiated settlement where the NBA gets to enforce some version of rules, Ballmer can save face, and Kawhi Leonard can play for the Raptors. Since Adam Silver took over the commissioner, the league has shown a tendency to take light-handed approach with enforcing the rules. There have been several exceptions over the years, but the league rarely resorts to taking extreme actions against guilty teams or players. The aspiration scandal is likely heading towards a similar conclusion that will finally allow Kawhi Leonard to be traded to Toronto. Front office from the Raptors' point of view, the expectation remains that when all is said and done, they will emerge whole with a seven-time All-Star, All-NBA selection ready to seven-time All-NBA selection ready to play and hurry to help the team compete in the Eastern Conference that has only gotten better and deeper since the New York Knicks won the title back in June. The commonly cited risk that Kawhi Leonard will face a lengthy suspension for his role in the alleged cap circumvention is something that almost certainly won't come to pass. The penalties for cap circumvention are extreme on paper, with teams risking potential fines, suspensions, or the loss of multiple draft picks. In this case, however, proving the Clippers guilty isn't easily done and puts the NBA in an awkward position. With mountains of circumstantial evidence and suspicious timelines, they clearly have enough to suspect illegal action. Unfortunately, without clear-cut evidence against the Clippers, there's only so much they can actually do. If they try to come down too harshly, Steve Ballmer will be ready to challenge with everything he has, which could postpone the process until 2027. In the end, as bad as it looks for the Clippers, we shouldn't expect major punishment from the NBA. With so many factors to consider, they are treading carefully in this process to find a solution that works for everyone. A fine may not be what the critics are calling for, but might be the only thing Silver can do to enforce the rules without stepping on any toes. So these are the reports here. What are my thoughts about this? I think this is possibly what's going to happen here. Guys, don't get it twisted. Steve Ballmer, it made a lot of money for a lot of guys in the NBA. A lot of money for a lot of guys in the NBA. A lot of money. And Ballmer, I don't know, this is just a speculation of mine, could say, okay, you guys want to play hardball? Okay, let's dig under the rocks. Let's expose all the skeletons. If it's not just me, what about all the other guys in the NBA that are potentially doing this? Then you have yourself a major scandal. That's one particular thing that Ballmer could fight back with. For me, look, man, Ballmer made these guys a lot of money. When he came into the NBA and he bought the Clippers from Donald Sterling, he ballooned the net worths of teams in the NBA, and the owners made billions because of it, just because of that one purchase. That's when Michael Jordan, I think he really entered into like billionaire status, or he made a lot of money from that deal. He certainly did, because the Clippers were not really a good team. I mean, they were a playoff team, but they weren't like a championship team. And everybody made money off of that deal. Everybody. And now the team is worth, what, $5-6 billion? So he's made a lot of money for these guys around the NBA. And I don't think that they're just going to come down heavy-handed the way they would some regular Joe. I just don't think so. When you're dealing with someone that's worth over $160 billion, they operate with different rules. It may seem unfair. That's the reality of the world. These are my thoughts.